Hey guys, what's up? This is just a video on basic care of garter snakes, specifically common in eastern garter snakes. But this is also can go all around across the board for all garter snakes, no matter what species. But I would suggest if you know that you're keeping a specific species of garter snake, you look up and make sure they don't have any specific needs that need to be met. Uh, because there are garter snakes that behave a little bit differently and have different dietary preferences and things like that. So you want to take that into account when you find your garter snake and know which one you're going to be purchasing or whatever. I have three garter snakes and they're all eastern common garter snakes. Eastern common garter snakes are the same thing. That's a common misconception, and the scientific name for that is Thamnophis sertalis. But there is plenty of subspecies of Thamnophis sertalis. Thamnophis sertalis infernalis, for example, and subspecies care is exactly the same for their respective species. Typically, female garter snakes get larger than males. Females usually get to be around 3 feet, and males usually tend to stay around 2 feet. Some females do get a little bit bigger, 3.5, even maybe perhaps 4. But your males are always going to stay typically pretty small compared to the females. They also tend to stay a lot thinner. Um, Basically, for substrate, I would suggest keeping them on aspen. Reason being, for a while I was keeping them on soil, like a soil mixture. And one of the cons of having garter snakes is they like to shit a lot, and it smells absolutely terrible. So I'd really suggest keeping them on aspen because it is much easier to clean up and it smells a lot fresher. And when a garter snake craps a lot, it's gonna make your soil smell bad, just as bad as its shit. So I'd really suggest keeping it on aspen. For temperature, a lot of people debate whether garter snakes actually need a heat pad or not. I believe they do. Reason being that they're cold-blooded, obviously, like all reptiles, and they need some kind of temperature gradient. They need to be able to decide whether they want to be on the cold side or the hot side so they can thermoregulate properly. My room stays about 78, 79 degrees. It stays really warm in here because the sun's always constantly beating on it, and the AC doesn't really reach my room too well. And I usually have it blocked off to begin with, so my reptiles are more comfortable. So in a situation like mine, if you're in a typically room temperature room, if it doesn't get too cold, you can get away just using a heat pad. They don't need any kind of supplementary light. They don't need any UVA or UVB as long as you have a heat source. For my female, she's in a 10 gallon right now. Some people say that 10 gallons enough for a full grown adult. I kind of disagree, only because garter snakes move a whole lot more than, say, your ball python would. So I'd actually suggest moving it up to a 15 or 20. You can always use a Sterilite container to save yourself some money. I'm not really good at the sizes of Sterilite containers as compared to the sizes of aquariums. So I'll post in the notation what size container you can use. Here's my female peeking out. Sorry the lighting's so bad. I usually have all my windows open for better lighting, but it's a little bit of an overcast. She's really cool. I enjoy her a lot. I enjoy all my garter snakes. They're great. Highly underrated. Another thing about aspen is they can burrow. These guys do like to dig around leaf litter in the wild, find earthworms and hide and things like that. So when you use aspen, they can burrow and hide anywhere in their enclosure, and I think that does really a lot for the animal. It makes them feel a lot more secure, and makes them want to come out a little bit more because they know they can always just burrow if they feel uncomfortable or scared or whatnot. And obviously you want to see your snake as much as possible. So when you give it more things to hide in, even things like decor in the aquarium, it makes them feel more secure and less exposed. So you'll see them more often, and that's also a lot less stressful on your animal. You can see here's my male here. I don't know. You see his head peeking out. Sorry, the lighting's so bad once again. Just peeking his head out, chilling. They're a lot of fun. Obviously, you want a water dish put on the opposite side of your hot side to prevent bacterial and fungal growth, and keep the water nice and cool. Take out crap whenever you see it. That just happened probably about an hour ago, so I have to take that out. Just basic care that you would apply to any kind of animal. Just make sure it's nice and clean. Clean out their crap whenever you see it. Do all around substrate change about once a month. For their diet, one of the cool things about garter snakes is they have a very varied diet. They eat a whole bunch of different things as opposed to ball pythons that just eat, mice or rats and chicks. Garter snakes can eat all those things along with earthworms, fish, different kinds of insects, things like that. So they're a lot of fun, and a lot of people actually choose garter snakes as pets because they don't like feeding rodents. And you can feed them earthworms their whole life if you choose. And all you'll have to do to supplement a calcium is sprinkle a little bit of D3 calcium like you would with the crickets on the earthworm. And that'll give them all the calcium they need. But you want to make sure you don't overdo it because they can overdose on the D3. And if that's not taken care of, that can be deadly. If you would prefer to move them onto a rodent-based diet, which you obviously can do, you would want to originally scent the rodent with an earthworm. That's because they are kind of finicky about eating rodents, and I always suggest feeding pre-killed as opposed to live. And so far, she's had frozen mice, but both of my other snakes have decided they just want to stick with earthworms. Another thing that's really good for them is garden snails, like dusk slugs. You get them all in Europe, where garter snakes are actually really popular in the pet trade. And we have them as an invasive species here in the United States, and they're really bad for crops. So do your friends a favor, and if you live in a rural area, start collecting those slugs and feeding them to your garter snakes, because they're actually very, very rich in all kinds of different vitamins and nutrients and things like that your garter snakes needs, and they really like them a lot too. But they're really, really simple to keep, and they're very, very active. That's why I like them. A lot of people look at garter snakes and they're like, oh, we have them around so often, they're so common, this and that. But they really have. If you look at garter snakes, they don't look the same. My female, she's nice and blue and has these green ivy hints on her sides, and my male looks completely different. He has like a charcoal black and tan coloration with a big bold stripe down his back. And the female's baby that she just had a couple months ago, he looks a lot different than she does. They just have so much variation in the way they look. And I know that goes for a lot of snakes. A lot of snakes have, don't look exactly the same, but that's especially true for garter snakes. And that doesn't even include all the selective breeding that's going on in captivity for things like albinism and, melanistic forms and things like that. They're really, really inquisitive snakes, and I really think people should give them a try. They will watch you when you walk around in the room. They're really aware, they're really active. So I would really suggest giving them a chance. I'll show you my baby setup, just so you know what it looks like to have a setup for a baby garter snake. He just moved in this literally 10 minutes ago. He was living in this before. He was on paper towel just because I want to make sure he was eating. That's always a good thing to do if you have a baby snake, or even anything that's recovering from illness or things like that. Keep it on paper towel. Lets you keep a closer eye on it, make sure it's eating, things like that. So I highly suggest that. But I'll show you the setup for my baby. My baby's right there, getting used to his aquarium. His enclosure, I mean. I would suggest giving him sticks if you'd like. Garter snakes really don't climb all that much, but some really like to if you give them the opportunity. And if they don't climb, you can always take it out. These are just sticks from outside. If you're gonna use sticks from outside, make sure they're from a pesticide-free area. I'm sorry. And bake them for 350 degrees for about 10 minutes in your oven, and that'll kill any kind of mites or any kind of parasites that could potentially harm your snake. Just a crushed paper towel roll for them as a hide. You could always use something better looking than that, but this works just fine. Use aspen, water dish, and he will get a heat pad. Like I said, I just moved them in this. I have a heat pad from in my closet, which I'll stick under, and they're a whole lot of fun. I really suggest keeping them, and if you need any help or have any questions, just leave a comment down below. I always reply to my comments, and like I said, if you have one of the garter snake, good luck. They're a whole lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, like I said, just let me know.